Hey guys, I'm Matt, and this is an analysis video for HUNDEGNI 4.1, which was uploaded to YouTube on April 21st, Easter of 2019, and effectively kicked off the 4.x series. Now, as things currently stand, we've been unable to solve the various codes shown throughout this video, though we do have some general theories. We'll start with these ideas before moving into the real-world footage itself. Firstly, HUNDEGNI 4.1 begins with the brief flash of one segment of an orbit code. This is almost certainly meant to be paired alongside the orbit code quadrant from 3.7, forming this overall structure. Even though we've yet to figure out how orbit codes work exactly since their debut in HUNDEGNI 3.3, the emerging presence of this second code is allowing us to come to a few conclusions. First of all, and perhaps most importantly, we were uncertain originally if the segment of the orbit code shown in 3.7 was meant to be used in conjunction with the full 3.3 version, but now that we are seeing that these segments are indeed going to be released one at a time throughout various upcoming videos, it would seem to strengthen the opposing position that there are two distinct types of orbit codes which don't directly relate to one another outside of their general appearance and perhaps similar methods of resolving. I use the word similar here rather than exact because we find it generally hard to believe that Mangled would recycle the same orbit code design from 3.3 and spread it out over several videos. Mangled has never demonstrated such blatant reuse of code concepts, meaning this second code, when it's completed, will likely somehow require us to approach it from a slightly different perspective. It can therefore be presumed that 3.3 is the more simplistic or basic version of the code, while this second version is more complex. While we can't say for sure when the next quadrant of this orbit code will be revealed, some have speculated Mangled may be following a pattern of a new segment every 3 videos. So the first piece was in 3.7, the second is in 4.1, the third would be in 4.4, and the final piece would reveal itself in 4.7. Of course, time will only tell if this theory holds water, and we would be in for a long wait should it be accurate. Another notable detail relates back to some of the advice provided by Lucid number 16 on our subreddit, as when he was questioned on how to solve 3.3, Lucid did state that the code was meant to be read clockwise, and lo and behold, the pieces to this second orbit code are seemingly going to be provided in a clockwise fashion, perhaps further suggesting that individual quadrants can be read or otherwise understood without the presence of the full form, which is interesting but only makes the suspected process in solving the code all the stranger. But the orbit code is not alone in this video, as the pixel symbols also make a reappearance. You may recall similar symbols in HUNDEGNI 3.8 and 3.9. It's exceptionally strange to see these symbols appear in so many videos in a row, and we're still not sure what they mean to get across, if they're solvable within their respective videos, or if they require us to be patient and wait for more of them to show up in other uploads. There are 4 symbols shown within this upload, the first of which having appeared in all 3 videos so far. The third symbol pays some resemblance to the one seen in the upper right corner of 3.9, and the final symbol is similar to the one seen at the start of 3.8, but these are not direct matches. However, in putting all of these symbols together, it is not hard to notice that they all possess very similar shapes, just occasionally in differing orientations or placements. Every symbol appears to be the same height. Interestingly, the first symbol and the last symbol of 4.1 are paired with 2 piano keys. Generally, most people are saying the notes sound to either be C1 and F1 respectively, or C0 and F0 respectively. Considering the fact that the squares seen in the spectrogram view of 3.9 look somewhat similar to the placement of music notes, and now we are being presented with the keys of a piano in conjunction with the pixel symbols, it seems to some of us that Mangled may be creating a musical code of some sort, which is only further enhanced in plausibility by the fact that he has yet to venture into that sort of territory. With all that in mind, maybe these pixel symbols represent differing musical notes, and in our slow learning of what each symbol is supposed to represent, we can essentially transcribe the elements into songs. Of course, more pixel symbols will need to be unveiled before such a theory can further be explored to any degree of accuracy. Lastly, the video notably features various clicking noises, somewhat simulating a beating heart, which grows faster as the video nears its conclusion. Some have speculated this clicking may be a code in of itself, like Morse, but no great progress has been made in observing them. This leaves us with the background footage itself, which I think shocked all of our investigators. Mangled essentially went from never showing people whatsoever until 3.9's blurry individuals to showing an up-close person sitting in a chair with a bag or hood over his or her face. Immediately, these visuals gave us hostage vibes, believing the person was being held against their will, chained to the seat. But it's not quite so simplistic, as further examination of the figure's hands seems to show that they are merely hanging down at the person's sides, with no immense restriction. However, handcuffs could be used to accomplish a similar detaining task, while also providing enough slack to keep the posture more natural. Even the chair itself is interesting, as a lone chair was also prominently featured in HUNDEGNI 2.9, and the concept of chairs were often brought up in the Arrows of Heaven investigation. Y2HHAXJZ, for example, was just a coded version of the word chairs. Unhinged would occasionally mention chairs without context, and stacks of seats also came up in the PN video, as well as this single chair. References to the old investigation are few and far between in these HUNDEGNI videos, so this chair's presence is intriguing to say the least, though one must always consider the possibility that it is only a coincidence, as chairs are such common pieces of furniture. The person appears fairly motionless for some of the video, only really moving his or her upper body to look up at either the camera or something to its side. It's difficult to determine if what the person has on his or her head is a bag or a hood, as the former option would make more sense in a hostage situation, while the static obscuring the individual's face region seems to point towards the latter. The static itself was apparently keyframed in and immediately reminded us of the static present in HUNDEGNI 2.4. As you may recall, most of the portraits seen in that video had a background consisting of a light blue static, with two empty frames instead possessing a typical black and white static. Since we know these frames are arranged in alphabetical order, the two missing people here are Unhinged Shadow and General Camera, both of whom turned against Arrows of Heaven and therefore do not appear alongside their shadow counterparts. Since the static over this person's face is the same black and white color, it leaves us to believe the person shown here is either Unhinged Shadow or General Camera. This is further narrowed down by considering that this footage seems to fall in line with the older clips shown throughout the 3.x series, which we believe to revolve around Brett and his friends as they recorded various real-world elements. Since General Camera did not personally know Brett, and the individual seated here appears slightly more masculine, Unhinged Shadow appears to be our best bet. And don't forget that HUNDEGNI is just a scrambled version of the name Unhinged, so this isn't that far out there. Now, we clearly can't say 100% for sure that Unhinged is the one behind this channel, as Mangled may be purposefully trying to sway us in the incorrect direction, but I will say the odds are looking more and more plausible. We also couldn't help but notice that this person seems eerily similar to the figure seen at the far left of Lucid's old obituary photo, as both are seen wearing a similar brilliant red long-sleeved shirt or jacket. Lucid did claim this photo was legitimately part of the mystery, so this video featuring a person in similar garb highly backs up those claims, though they don't confirm them. After all, if a person in a red shirt was that important to this mystery, one would have expected him or her to appear in 3.9, but instead the closest we got was this person in a orange short-sleeved shirt, so maybe this is just a coincidence above all else. Now comes the important question of whether or not we really believe this to be some sort of hostage footage. While initially skeptical, a majority of us now seem to subscribe to the theory that the teenagers seen and heard throughout the 3.x series and likely going on into the 4.x series were working on a film piece dealing in horror or some sort of crime thriller. If you watched my 3.9 review, you might recall how we'd heard a person at the start of the video essentially shouting "action," and a later whisper heard around the 4-second mark appears to sound like someone saying "hurry." This perhaps being the filmmakers behind the camera or the actors sat in the seat, as they may have felt uncomfortable wearing the hood/bag for extended periods of time. Add these concepts in with the fact that the Arrows of Heaven mystery and Brett's death didn't seem to involve overt crimes or even murder, and it would seem like HUNDEGNI is merely showing us the various filmmaking elements associated with an older production from around 2006. Once again, if you want a bit more detail on this possibility, I'd recommend checking out my 3.9 analysis, as I did lay out these concepts there as well. And that brings us to the end of this 4.1 analysis. While the codes here are definitely interesting, they represent merely a repetition from content we have seen from previous videos, thereby giving us little new material to work with. That being said, if any interesting updates do occur in regards to 4.1, I will add them to the description of this video or make an all-new video covering them. As always, I'd like to thank everyone on our Discord server for looking over this 4.1 upload. It's thanks to you guys that these analysis videos can even be made with any intriguing content whatsoever. You're very much appreciated. Thanks for watching, guys. Matt, out.